I'm Phoebe Bennett, and I make my living reading people's futures in cards that most dismiss as nonsense. What they don't realize is that sometimes the universe has a twisted sense of humor about timing. My Honda decides to die exactly when I'm already 20 minutes late for my appointment at Murphy's Car Wash on 5th Street. Steam pours from under the hood like some mystical fog, except there is nothing magical about being stranded in the blazing Raleigh heat. The car behind me pulls up close, and I'm preparing my most apologetic smile when the driver steps out. She's stunning in that effortless way that makes your breath catch. Brunette hair pulled back in a professional ponytail, blue eyes that seem to see right through you, wearing a crisp business suit that screams authority. But it's the way she moves that captures my attention, confident yet graceful, like she's used to solving problems. Looks like you're having some trouble. Her voice carries just a hint of concern, not the impatience I expected from someone stuck behind my mechanical disaster. Just my luck. I'm Phoebe, by the way, and this heap of metal apparently chose today to give up on life. Julie Russell. She extends her hand, and when our fingers touch, there's something electric in the contact that has nothing to do with static. I've got jumper cables if that might help. While she retrieves the cables from her silver SUV, I notice the farmer's market logo on her briefcase. Not what I expected from someone dressed like a corporate executive. There's more to Julie Russell than meets the eye, and I've learned to trust my instincts about people's hidden depths. The jump start works, my engine coughing back to reluctant life. Julie suggests we grab coffee at the diner next door to make sure the car stays running, but I suspect she's as curious about me as I am about her. Over steaming mugs and apple pie, conversation flows surprisingly easily. She asks about my work with genuine interest, not the usual skeptical smirk I get when people learn I read tarot cards for a living. I discover she manages the downtown farmers market, explaining the briefcase contradiction that intrigued me. Most people think fortune-telling is complete nonsense, I admit, watching for her reaction. Maybe most people are afraid of what they might learn about themselves. Her response surprises me, especially when she keeps checking her phone with increasingly worried expressions. Whatever's troubling Julie Russell goes deeper than idle curiosity about my unconventional career. Everything okay? Family expectations. She sighs, looking suddenly vulnerable despite her polished exterior. Sometimes I wonder if we ever really get to choose our own paths. Something in her tone suggests she's talking about more than career decisions, but before I can probe deeper, her phone buzzes again, and that guarded look returns to her beautiful face. 3 days pass without hearing from Julie, and I convince myself our coffee meeting was just politeness from a good Samaritan. Then she appears at my downtown tarot booth like something out of a dream, looking nervous and determined in equal measure. I need a reading. Her voice carries an urgency that makes several passers-by glance our way. Something's happening in my life, and I need guidance about a decision that could change everything. I gesture to the chair across from my small table, noting how she fidgets with her purse strap. Whatever brought Julie Russell to seek answers from the cards runs deeper than casual curiosity. Her corporate confidence has cracked, revealing vulnerability that makes my heart ache. What specific area needs clarity? My future. Whether I should follow expectations or listen to my heart. The cards seem to respond to her inner turmoil, revealing themselves in patterns that speak of conflict between duty and desire, tradition and authenticity. The Lover's card appears prominently, but it's reversed, suggesting internal struggle about romantic choices. The cards show you're at a crossroads, I explain, my finger tracing the Celtic cross spread. There's pressure from others, but your true path requires courage to embrace who you really are. When I reach for the final card, our hands accidentally touch. The contact sends electricity shooting up my arm, and from the way Julie's breath catches, she feels it too. Her blue eyes meet mine with an intensity that makes the bustling street around us fade into background noise. The cards are rarely wrong about matters of the heart. What if following your heart means disappointing everyone who matters to you? Her question carries weight that suggests we're not just talking about career decisions anymore. The way she's looking at me, like I hold answers to questions she's afraid to ask aloud, makes my pulse quicken. Sometimes the people who truly matter want your happiness more than their own expectations. Julie sits quietly for several minutes, studying the cards as if they might reveal secrets beyond what I've interpreted. Finally, she looks up with something resembling resolve in her expression. "Would you have dinner with me tonight? Somewhere we could talk more privately?" The invitation catches me off guard, not because it's unexpected, but because of the nervous energy radiating from her. This isn't casual friendship. There's something deeper driving her request, something that makes her hands tremble slightly as she waits for my answer. "I know a place." She chooses Romano's, tucked away in an old converted house where intimate lighting and secluded booths provide privacy for serious conversations. The kind of restaurant where people go when they have secrets to share or confessions to make. Julie orders wine with dinner, something she clearly needs for courage. Between courses, she keeps starting sentences and stopping, as if the words she needs don't exist, or are too dangerous to speak aloud. "Phoebe, there's something I need to tell you, something I've never admitted to anyone." Her confession hangs in the air between us, loaded with possibility and fear. Whatever Julie Russell is about to reveal will change everything, and judging by the way she's gripping her wine glass, she knows it too. Julie's knuckles are white around her wine glass as she searches for words that seem to elude her. The candlelight flickers across her face, highlighting the vulnerability in those striking blue eyes that first captivated me at the car wash. "I've never felt this way about another woman before." Her voice trembles with the weight of confession. "Hell, I've never even admitted to myself that I could be attracted to women, but something about you makes me question everything I thought I knew about myself." The honesty in her admission takes my breath away. Here's this accomplished, confident woman, laying her soul bare in a way that must terrify her. I reach across the table and cover her trembling hand with mine. "Julie, there's no shame in discovering who you really are. I've known I preferred women since college, but that journey of self-discovery is different for everyone." Relief floods her beautiful features like sunrise breaking through storm clouds. For the first time since she sat down, her shoulders relax, and she manages a genuine smile that transforms her entire face. "I was so afraid you'd think I was confused or experimenting. Attraction doesn't follow schedules or societal expectations, it just is." Our fingers intertwine naturally across the table, and the connection feels more intimate than any relationship I've had. There's something profound about being present for someone's moment of self-acceptance, especially when that someone makes your heart race with just a glance. After dinner, we walk through downtown Raleigh's historic district, where summer air hangs thick with honeysuckle and possibility. The streets are mostly empty, creating an intimate bubble around our quiet conversation about dreams, fears, and the courage required to live authentically. "My family has very specific expectations," Julie confides, as we pause near the old courthouse. "Traditional marriage, grandchildren, the whole conventional package. They've never considered that I might want something different." "What do you want?" She stops walking and turns to face me fully, moonlight casting shadows across her features. The vulnerability in her expression makes my chest tighten with emotions I'm not ready to name. "I want to know what it feels like to kiss you." The admission hangs between us like a bridge, waiting to be crossed. My heart pounds so loudly I'm certain she can hear it in the quiet night air. Without breaking eye contact, I step closer until we're sharing the same breath. "Then kiss me." Our lips meet tentatively at first, soft and questioning, as if we're both afraid this moment might shatter if we're too eager. But when Julie's hand finds the back of my neck, the kiss deepens into something that feels like coming home and adventure simultaneously. She tastes like wine and possibility, her lips moving against mine with growing confidence. When we finally part, both breathing unsteadily, the world seems different somehow, charged with new potential. "That was," she whispers against my forehead. "Perfect." We stand there in the shadow of the courthouse steps, holding each other as if this moment could last forever. But even as Julie's arms tighten around me, I can see the fear creeping back into her eyes. The reality of what this means beginning to sink in. What happens now? Now we figure it out together. The morning after our first kiss finds me rearranging my entire booth display 3 times, anticipating Julie's arrival like a teenager waiting for her crush. When she appears carrying a basket of fresh peaches from the farmer's market, her smile makes the summer heat feel insignificant. "Thought you might enjoy these," she says. But the way her eyes linger on my lips suggests the peaches aren't the only thing she's thinking about enjoying. Julie starts visiting daily, always with some excuse about needing supplies from nearby vendors, but she lingers long after my last customer leaves. We talk about everything from her dreams of expanding the farmer's market to my unconventional childhood with a grandmother who taught me to read cards. Your family sounds fascinating. Mine's more concerned with maintaining appearances than understanding who I actually am. They'll come around when they see how happy you are. But doubt flickers across her features whenever family comes up, like storm clouds gathering on a clear day. When she asks for help reorganizing the market layout, I jump at the chance to spend an entire afternoon together. Working side by side, measuring booth spaces and plotting vendor arrangements, gives us legitimate reasons to stand close, brush hands, steal glances when we think the other isn't looking. You have excellent spatial awareness, Julie comments as we finalize the new design. Years of arranging tarot spreads, everything has its perfect place. The double meaning hangs between us as her blue eyes search mine. We're standing so close I can smell her perfume, something light and floral that makes me dizzy with want. Phoebe, would you stay late tonight? Help me input these changes into the computer system? Her office after hours feels intimate despite the fluorescent lighting. We sit side by side at her desk, our thighs touching as we review vendor applications. Every accidental contact sends electricity through my body, and I can tell from Julie's increasingly shallow breathing that she's fighting the same overwhelming attraction. This application looks good, I murmur, but neither of us is really focused on paperwork anymore. When Julie turns to respond, our faces are inches apart. The tension that's been building for weeks finally reaches its breaking point. Her hand finds my cheek, thumb tracing my lower lip with tentative reverence. I can't stop thinking about you. Then don't. This time, our kiss is anything but tentative. Months of suppressed desire pour out as Julie's hands tangle in my blonde hair, pulling me closer until I'm straddling her chair. Her lips move to my neck, finding sensitive spots that make me gasp her name. The desk becomes our sanctuary as papers scatter to the floor. Julie's hands explore my body with growing confidence, mapping territory she's never dared to claim before. When she whispers my name against my skin, the sound is reverent, desperate, perfect. Our lovemaking is tender and urgent simultaneously, Julie discovering her own desires while awakening mine. Every touch feels like revelation, every kiss like coming home. In the soft glow of her desk lamp, we lose ourselves in each other completely. Afterward, we lie entwined on the small couch in her office, Julie tracing lazy patterns on my skin while we catch our breath. The satisfied smile on her face tells me she's found something she didn't even know she was missing. I never imagined it could feel like this. Like what? Like I finally understand what all those love songs are about. The call comes at 7 a.m, jarring me from peaceful sleep in Julie's arms. Her phone buzzes insistently until she fumbles for it, still half asleep and beautifully disheveled from our night together. Mother, it's early. Julie's voice shifts from drowsy to alert in seconds as her mother's shrill tone carries through the speaker. Even from across the bed, I can hear phrases like wonderful news and perfect match. Julie sits up abruptly, color draining from her face as she listens. What do you mean, announced the engagement? I never agreed to anything. My stomach drops as pieces of conversation filter through. Arranged marriage, family expectations, David Chen from the prominent banking family. Julie's wealthy parents have apparently decided her romantic future without consulting her, treating her like a business transaction rather than their daughter. I don't care how long the families have been friends, Mother. I'm not marrying David. But her mother's voice grows sharper, mentioning trust funds and family reputation, financial consequences if Julie doesn't comply with their traditional expectations. The color completely leaves Julie's face as the full weight of her situation becomes clear. I have to go, she whispers into the phone before hanging up with shaking hands. Julie, what's happening? They've arranged my engagement to David Chen. The families announced it in the society pages this morning without even telling me first. They expect me to play along or lose everything. The desperation in her voice breaks my heart. This strong, confident woman who runs the most successful farmers market in Raleigh is reduced to trembling by her family's manipulations. I pull her into my arms, feeling her tears against my shoulder. There has to be another way. There is. Julie pulls back suddenly, her blue eyes bright with desperate inspiration. I'll tell them I'm already engaged. To you. The words hang between us like a live wire. It's crazy, impulsive, potentially disastrous, but I can see the logic forming in her mind. If she's already committed to someone else, even someone her parents would never approve of, it might buy us time to figure out a real solution. Julie, that's a huge lie. What happens when they want to meet me? Then they meet you. We pretend we've been secretly together for months, that we're planning our own wedding. It's not entirely untrue. The irony isn't lost on me that our fake engagement would be more genuine than the arranged marriage her parents are forcing on her. But the risks are enormous, especially if her family decides to investigate our supposed relationship timeline. My mother's calling back. Julie's phone buzzes again, and this time she answers with newfound determination. Mother, I can't marry David because I'm already engaged. The silence on the other end stretches so long I wonder if the call dropped. Then her mother's voice returns, colder than winter. Engaged to whom? Her name is Phoebe Bennett. We've been together for 8 months. Julie's eyes meet mine as she speaks, and I see both desperation and something deeper there. Something that makes my heart race with possibility and terror simultaneously. I want to meet this woman immediately. Tomorrow night, dinner at the house. And Julie? She better be worth destroying your future over. The line goes dead, leaving us staring at each other in the sudden quiet of her bedroom. In less than 24 hours, I'll be sitting across from Julie's wealthy traditional parents, pretending to be engaged to their daughter, while they decide whether to cut her off completely. Well, I managed to say, I guess I should probably buy a ring. The Russell family estate feels like something from a Gothic novel. All imposing columns and manicured gardens that whisper old money and older expectations. Julie grips my hands so tightly I'm losing circulation as we walk up the marble steps to face the most important performance of our lives. Remember, we met 8 months ago at a coffee shop downtown. We've been inseparable ever since. And the ring? I touch the simple silver band we bought an hour ago, praying it passes for something a fortune teller could afford on a relationship timeline that makes sense to suspicious parents. Antique shop find. You said it reminded you of your grandmother's. The front door opens before we can knock, revealing a woman who looks like Julie in 30 years, if Julie spent those decades perfecting the art of cold disapproval. Mrs. Russell's eyes rake over me from head to toe, cataloging every detail for future judgment. So you're the one who's stolen my daughter's future. Mother, please. Julie's voice carries warning as her father appears, a distinguished man whose silence feels more ominous than his wife's hostility. Dinner is an exercise in psychological warfare, disguised as polite conversation. Every question feels like a trap, every glance a calculation of my worth against their expectations for Julie's life. I navigate inquiries about my family background, education, and career prospects while trying to appear madly in love with their daughter. Fortune-telling seems like such an unstable profession, Mrs. Russell observes over the soup course. How do you plan to provide for Julie? I believe financial security is important, but emotional fulfillment matters more. Julie's hand finds mine under the table, her thumb tracing reassuring circles on my palm. The gesture feels so natural that I almost forget we're acting. And children? Surely you've discussed starting a family. The question hangs in the air like poison gas. Julie and I haven't talked about any future beyond surviving this evening, but her parents expect answers about grandchildren and legacy. We're focused on building our relationship first, Julie responds diplomatically, though I catch the slight tremor in her voice. Unexpectedly, salvation comes from Julie's brother Marcus, who arrives late and apologizes with genuine warmth that contrasts sharply with his parents' frigid reception. When he hugs Julie, I see relief flood her features. So you're Phoebe. Julie's told me so much about you. The lie rolls off his tongue so smoothly that I realize Marcus knows exactly what's happening here. Later, when he corners me in the kitchen while Julie argues with her parents in the study, He confirms my suspicions. I've known Julie was different since we were kids. She never looked at boys the way other girls did, never seemed interested in the society matches our parents arranged for other families. You're not upset about the deception? I'm thrilled she finally found someone who makes her happy, even if the timing is complicated. Marcus becomes our unexpected ally, smoothly deflecting his parents' more pointed questions and sharing fabricated stories about Julie's mentions of me over recent months. By dessert, even Mrs. Russell seems grudgingly impressed by our apparent devotion. The evening climaxes when Julie's father demands we stay overnight, claiming the guest room is prepared and he wants to observe our relationship dynamics further. The prospect of sharing Julie's childhood bedroom while her parents sleep down the hall terrifies and thrills me simultaneously. This was my sanctuary growing up, Julie whispers as she shows me her preserved teenage space, complete with academic awards and photographs of horses rather than boys. Lying in her narrow twin bed, we whisper like conspirators about the evening's successes and near disasters, but somewhere between analyzing her mother's reactions and planning tomorrow's exit strategy, our fake engagement begins feeling startlingly real. Phoebe, what if we didn't have to pretend anymore? Her question hangs in the darkness between us, loaded with possibility and fear. When she kisses me in the bed where she spent years dreaming of escape, it feels like claiming territory in enemy land. The morning after our family dinner feels like waking from a strange dream, until Julie's phone buzzes with a text that makes her face go white as fresh snow. It's from David Chen. He wants to meet me for lunch today to discuss our future together. Apparently, David hasn't received the memo about our supposed engagement, or worse, he's choosing to ignore it entirely. Julie's hands shake as she reads his message, which carries undertones of possession that make my skin crawl. He says his family has invested too much in this arrangement to let it fall apart over what he calls my temporary confusion. The arrogance in his assumption that Julie's sexuality is just a phase makes my blood boil, but there's something more sinister in his persistence. Men like David Chen don't accept rejection gracefully, especially when family honor and business connections are involved. 3 days later, we discover exactly how ungracefully David handles disappointment. A private investigator approaches Julie at the farmer's market, flashing credentials and asking pointed questions about our relationship timeline. When exactly did you and Miss Bennett begin dating? Can anyone verify your whereabouts on specific dates 8 months ago? The investigator's questions reveal the depth of David's desperation to prove our engagement is fabricated. He's systematically checking our story, looking for inconsistencies that would expose the lie and force Julie back into his arranged marriage. He's found discrepancies, Julie confesses that evening, pacing my small apartment like a caged animal. The investigator knows we didn't meet 8 months ago. He has proof I was dating Thomas Bradley as recently as 6 months ago. Thomas Bradley, Julie's last attempt at conventional dating before she met me. Their relationship was brief and passionless, but it existed during the time frame when we claimed to have been together exclusively. What does he want? $50,000 to keep quiet about the timeline problems. Otherwise, he goes to my parents with evidence that our engagement is fake. The number hits like a physical blow. Neither of us has that kind of money, and borrowing it would require explanations we can't give. We're trapped between exposure and financial ruin, with David Chen pulling the strings like a puppet master. Julie's stress manifests in panic attacks that leave her gasping for air in grocery store aisles and waking up screaming from nightmares about forced marriages. Watching this strong, confident woman crumble under pressure breaks my heart in ways I didn't know were possible. Maybe I should just marry him, she whispers after a particularly bad episode. At least then everyone else would be safe. Safe from what? Living authentically, choosing love over obligation? But I understand her desperation. The walls are closing in from every direction, and David Chen holds all the cards while we're playing with nothing but hope and determination. The breaking point comes when the investigator corners me outside my tarot booth, his smile predatory as he presents photographs of Julie with Thomas Bradley taken just 5 months ago. Miss Bennett, you seem like a reasonable woman. Surely you understand that some matches are simply meant to be, regardless of temporary attractions. His implication that our love is temporary while David's claim is permanent makes me want to throw my crystal ball at his smug face. But violence won't solve our problems, and we're running out of time before he makes good on his threats. That night, I find Julie sitting on my couch, staring at her engagement ring, tears streaming down her beautiful face as she contemplates the impossible choice between love and family, authenticity and security. I won't let you sacrifice yourself for other people's expectations. Then what do we do? The investigator has proof. David won't give up, and my parents will disown me if they discover we've been lying. I take her hands in mine, feeling the tremor of fear that's become constant since this nightmare began. But somewhere in the depths of my despair, a spark of defiance ignites. We tell the truth, all of it. The Russell family living room feels smaller when filled with tension so thick you could cut it with a blade. Julie sits beside me on the ivory sofa, her hand clasped in mine as we face her parents across the Persian rug that probably costs more than my annual income. We need to tell you something, Julie begins, her voice steadier than I expected given the circumstances. Our engagement isn't exactly what we've led you to believe. Mrs. Russell's perfectly manicured eyebrow arches with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel, while Mr. Russell leans forward in his leather chair like a judge preparing to deliver sentence. The timeline we gave you was fabricated. We've only known each other for 6 weeks, not 8 months. The silence that follows could freeze hell itself. I watched Julie's mother process this information, her face cycling through disbelief, rage, and something approaching betrayal before settling on cold calculation. So you lied to us, deliberately and elaborately. Yes, but the feelings are real, more real than anything I've ever experienced. Julie's voice gains strength as she continues, and I'm amazed by her courage in the face of potential complete rejection from the people who raised her. I lied because I was terrified of disappointing you. But living David Chen's life instead of my own would have been the biggest disappointment of all. Mr. Russell finally speaks, his voice carrying the weight of old money and older traditions. You're telling us you've thrown away a advantageous marriage for a 6-week infatuation with a fortune teller. The dismissive way he says my profession makes my cheeks burn, but Julie's grip on my hand tightens protectively. I'm telling you I've found the person I want to spend my life with, even if that means losing everything else. Mrs. Russell stands abruptly, pacing to the window that overlooks their perfectly manicured grounds. When she turns back, her expression could shatter diamonds. If you choose this path, Julie, you choose it without family support. No trust fund, no inheritance, no safety net if this fantasy falls apart. The ultimatum hangs in the air like an executioner's axe. Choose love or choose security, but not both. I want to tell Julie to take the money, that love can't pay rent or buy groceries, but she speaks before I can sabotage our future. Then, I choose love. The finality in her voice makes my heart soar and break simultaneously. She's choosing me over everything she's ever known, every advantage her birth provided, every safety net her family's wealth represented. Julie, think about what you're saying. I've thought about nothing else for weeks, Mother. I'd rather be poor and authentic than wealthy and miserable. Mr. Russell's face darkens with something between disappointment and fury. Then you'll discover exactly how difficult poor and authentic can be. Don't come crawling back when reality sets in. We leave the estate with nothing but each other and the clothes on our backs. Julie's hands shake as she drives us back to my small apartment, the weight of her decision settling over us like fog. I'm homeless and disinherited, she says with a laugh that borders on hysteria. My parents hate me, David Chen is furious, and I have exactly $300 in my checking account. You have me. Is that enough? Instead of answering with words, I pull her into my arms the moment we reach my apartment. Our lovemaking that night carries desperation and celebration in equal measure. 2 women claiming their right to love despite the world's disapproval. Julie moves in officially the next morning, her few rescued belongings fitting easily into my tiny space. We spend the afternoon in bed, mapping each other's bodies with renewed urgency now that we've burned every bridge behind us. No regrets? I whisper against her neck as afternoon light filters through my bedroom curtains. Only that it took me 29 years to find you. When she says things like that, poverty feels like a small price to pay for authenticity. 6 months of struggling paycheck to paycheck teaches you which dreams are worth the hardship. Julie transforms from pampered society daughter into scrappy entrepreneur, working 18-hour days to rebuild the farmer's market into something extraordinary, while I expand my practice beyond simple card readings. The Henderson account wants to sign an exclusive produce contract, Julie announces, bursting through our apartment door with excitement that makes her blue eyes sparkle like stars. That's steady income for the next 3 years. Her success amazes everyone who predicted she'd crawl back to her family within weeks. Instead, she's created the most profitable farmers market in North Carolina's history, proving that determination matters more than trust funds. My own business flourishes as word spreads about the fortune teller who helped a woman find her authentic self. Couples seek my guidance for relationship issues, and I discover genuine satisfaction in helping others navigate love's complicated terrain. You were right about following your heart, one client tells me after reconciling with her estranged daughter. Sometimes the cards just confirm what we already know deep down. The small house we purchased with our combined savings sits in an older neighborhood where nobody cares about our unconventional love story. Julie fills every room with fresh flowers from the market, while I create a reading space that feels both mystical and welcoming. Look what I found at the antique dealer. Julie presents a vintage jewelry box containing the most beautiful ring I've ever seen, Art Deco styling with a small but perfectly cut diamond. It reminded me of something important I've been meaning to ask you. My heart stops as she drops to one knee in our tiny living room, surrounded by market flowers and the life we've built together from nothing but love and determination. Phoebe Bennett, will you marry me? For real this time. Not because we're running from anyone, but because I can't imagine my future without you in it. The ring fits perfectly, like it was waiting for this moment to find its proper home. When I kiss her through happy tears, I taste our entire journey from that broken-down car to this perfect proposal. Yes, but only if you promise we'll never have to pretend again. Never again. Just us, exactly as we are. Our wedding 6 months later is small but perfect. Held in the farmer's market Julie loves so much, surrounded by vendors who've become our chosen family. Marcus walks Julie down the aisle while my elderly neighbors serve as witnesses to our commitment. I now pronounce you wife and wife. The kiss that seals our marriage tastes like freedom and possibility, 2 women who chose love over convenience finally claiming their happy ending. 1 year after that first collision at the car wash, I wake up beside my wife in our own home, sunlight streaming through windows that frame a future we created ourselves. Julie sleeps peacefully, her brunette hair spread across the pillow, wedding ring catching morning light. The cards predicted this outcome from our very first reading, but living it feels better than any fortune I could have imagined. Sometimes the universe's sense of timing isn't twisted at all, just perfectly orchestrated to bring the right people together at exactly the right moment. Julie stirs beside me, those beautiful blue eyes opening to find mine already watching her. Good morning, Mrs. Bennett Russell. Good morning, wife. And in that simple exchange, I hear our entire love story.